Hello and welcome, my name is Nilaus. This is episode 100 of our Let's Play campaign, Final Factory. So this episode will be quite different than usual because it will be exclusively dedicated to a base tour, an explanation, just an overview so that if you have not caught on with all the episodes, which is totally understandable, but you feel like, hey, this thing might be interesting. This is the episode you want to watch, so because I'll be explaining the concepts, the goals, the target, all this stuff hopefully then will allow you to get a better sense of what's going on. So this is our base. It consists of two things. It consists of our starter base, which will basically keep replacing with the new stuff, better stuff, and just gradually scaling out or sort of phasing out. And then we have the new base. This is the big new base. It's a lot more structured, as you can see. It's also a lot higher throughput, and that's where we are spending most of our time building new blocks with new capabilities. So let's take some steps back and explain the actual concept of this base. So I wanted to make a base where I was playing vanilla. This is a vanilla playthrough. I have changed the ore generation midway through, so unfortunately it does not count as a anymore because they run a console command, yeah. So therefore it's not possible to get those. Anyway, the idea is that I will create one episode for each supporter of the channel. This is my way to say, hey, awesome, I want to show that you're supporting. I want to give something back, and that is by having each episode sponsored by a supporter. This episode is not sponsored by a supporter because I felt that, you know, episode 100 is kind of a hallmark, so giving that to the next in the list would be somewhat unfair, and therefore I just said, all right, this is a special episode, we're not building anything, so let's have a look at it. Let's just drive around in the base. This is our starter base. So there'll be one episode for each supporter on Patreon or YouTube of the rank of Captain of Industry, Robber Baron, or Fanatical Devotee. So this is going back into history and getting up to the old base. That's not quite particularly interesting because it's pretty much derelict. You can also, lots of things to explain. Okay, but the challenge for me in this base is actually that I will have one episode for each supporter, but I will need to get to 10 of each science per minute for each supporter. So 100 supporters means 100 episodes, that's where we are now. And then if that was the end, then I would have to aim for 1,000 science per minute. But as I'm looking at it right now, I have about 250 supporters or something along those lines between YouTube and Patreon, so there'll be at least 200. Then because of that, I am aiming towards not just 2 but 3,000 science per minute of each. And in order to do that, I built the starter base. This took about the first 40 or so episodes, and then a number of improvements, scaling up, and then we go into the next phase of it, which is what we're going to look at here. Unfortunately, this one seems rather idle. These are hold on, should I get my car? Yeah, the distances in this base are getting quite big, so we need to car. So this is where we then built a new location. Let me explain it as we go to one of the locations that will hopefully be, oh, this one is not completely dead. So here we go. This is a block. Oh, thank you for the timing. So a new train comes in, unloading copper ore, and then it's ready to get the copper plates. This is a full train, so it's idle. And it goes. There we go. Going to as soon as it's ready to go. Now let's zoom out and explain how the network works. One of the key points when building a megabase is usually, well, you have to build it, actually not actually true, but usually if you build it with a train focus and different construction facilities, you will run into the problem of having a 4-lane main system or a main intersection, which will then be the overall bottleneck of the entire base. That I want to avoid. So in this case, I do not have any overall train network. And that's why it looks like such a massive train spaghetti. Because if I just jump on this one, which obviously I can't. Okay, look at the flurry of activity here. There we go. Okay, so it goes out. Where are we heading? We are heading to green circuits. So you can see this one has its own dedicated line. It simply goes back and forth. And that's it, which means, where am I? I don't want to be run over. So that one goes in here, unloads. What are these trains? Really? Oh, this one's actually... What about this one? Okay, this is also red. So basically, it's if I switch these on, the idea here is that I have dedicated lines. See, this line here is for the copper. It just goes to copper plates and out. So this copper train, carefully adjusted. I have calculated everything. It says this creates 49,000 if running at full tilt. 49,000 copper per minute if it's running at full tilt. And it pretty much is at this point. Well, it could be at least, but it's not consuming enough. So you can see here, there's 4.8 thousand and they're not being drawn in. That's the concept of it. You can see the iron train. Iron train is also heading up here to create more green circuits. As soon as it goes in, you can see that one's full and they go up. So let's trace it back. Where did my car go? It's always lost. How did I lose my car again? Oh, it's because I took the train. All right, that shouldn't have done that. But it is a kind of difficult or dangerous place to run around. You can see how active it is towards the green circuits, and the green circuits will be drawn in. Oh, hello. Oh, there's my car. Great. So the whole concept is I will pull trains in. This is a good sort of production mechanic. You will pull trains in. The bottleneck will pull in. So for example, this one is a bit special, iron. This one is not able to get any iron, but it wants to get in because it has 3 different locations that produce iron. This one, when it hits 16,000, then it will open the station. Alternatively, then I trace it here. There's another one here. This one, when it hits 13,000, it opens. Or the last one, this one, when it hits 13,000, it'll open. So as you can see here now, even with 3 small deposits, it's not really getting it fast enough because this is running out. And that's the concept all the way down. So this one is producing 49,000 iron, and that goes into a green circuit production. The green circuit production is feeding into the red circuits, which we have here. Also very active. But we have do we have a full train? Yes, a full train of red circuits ready, 46,000 ready to head out. And that will, if we look at the train, this has 2 different places to go. It can either go to the starter base or it can go to the blue signs. So if we trace it back here, this is also the green. This has 2 locations. It can also go to mining drills. So I have a different location here, creating mining drills exclusively. This one is full. And is it? Yes, it is. And these are all here. Everything is pretty much, well, I have 1K in each of these. That's also a bit insane. And I have enough of iron as well. The way I control these is through a mechanic here. You can see if you zoom out, this is red, because I said I only want 100,000 as stockpiled. You can see I have 106 and 102. These are then combined, and also with the last one, creating engines, which is also 100,000 iron, 100,000 steel, and enough these to go in. This is only 16,000, so they will just, as they work, go into these locations. We have the red circuits, the mining drills, and the engines coming in, and that produces the green, great color blindness here. The blue signs is then, all of this is scaled towards this one, is always having enough inbound materials in order to produce 3,000 per minute. And then a slight buffer. So then we take all this train, it just traces it back up here, going into this location called starter blue circuits, which will enable when it is less than 10,000, because it will be ready. And you can see over to the right hand side, I have 14,000 blue signs. The idea is, this is how I start taking productivity out of my starter base by basically saying, all right, we are, when I get a new science or a new circuit built, so green circuit, red signs, green signs, blue signs, or blue, red, green, and then I'm going to have blue circuits. That's what I'm working on right now. When I get the blue signs, then I can get in my starter base a lot bigger. Let's just jump out of the car because it's annoying sound. So the starter base will produce two things primarily. It'll produce the signs that I have not replaced yet. These are small locations down here. And it'll produce rockets. What timing this is. So it will produce the rockets needed. Oh, okay, that was actually, it did fire off. Look at the rockets. We only have launched 155. That's not actually very much because you can see how small this location is and how little it is sped up by beacons. This is one of the things I need to scale up because you can see, which is usually the constraint, is in this case the blue circuits, but that's not even a constraint. The blue circuits are used exclusively. Oh, a new train came in here. So now we get a new train in. And that gets immediately filtered into these filtered storage chests, which is absolutely fantastic that you that's a new feature I learned recently. So all of this, you can see how crazy it is with all the robots, but I love it. I absolutely love this part, and I don't care that they are there. It's also still having 11. I have a lot of logistics bots, and I just don't care about it. So you can see here, a lot of it goes in directly into the blue circuits. The blue circuits is producing at quite a decent rate, and most of it goes into the beacons, the modules, and we just continue the research. This is the primary pacing of my base. If I look at the main module, I have 1.8 speed module and 1.2 productivity module. That seems like a lot, but remember, every time I build a location such as this one, which is now a unit that I can build, it is 700 and 500. So that means I can only build 3 of these blocks. Let's move down and take a look at some of the other blocks that I've created, because that is a key point as well. And you can see the whole base is pretty much operational as it is. Some things, like this one, which I absolutely love. This plastic location is idle because there isn't a lot of demand on plastic. The only demand for plastic is for the red circuits, and the red circuits, as we saw, was idle. Red circuit plastic in is green? Really? Oh, this is not good. What's the problem? You're missing petroleum? But, oh, they're empty. It just looks like they're not empty. All right, let's force it in even though it's not here. Let's just get it in just so we can see what it's going to look like. So this is actually running out because it only has one location and it doesn't give us enough here. This is too small. So we get the pumping. And you can see it starts producing. What is the content of this? Okay, don't run through this. That's like here, 9 point, and okay, so we're not even halfway. Okay, that's going to be unlikely to make it in time. But you can see it, as it produces, it actually produces at a pretty decent rate. The coal here is also doing very well. I think I should actually have capped this one because now currently I have 400,000. That's a bit much. I should have capped it at 100,000 so this train would be empty. But that's we'll do that generally. How are we doing here? That's 19,000. It has to go to 32,000. So I'm not sure it will get there. What does this look like? Okay, this train is empty. There's a bit left. Not much on this side. A bit more on this side. And there we go. It goes out. And let's see, how is this one? 23. It'll also start getting into some situations where it's loading unevenly. Anyway, we can stand here while moving further down. We have a steel location. It doesn't produce much steel. It actually only produces 4.7 thousand steel for this half. Could of course be doubled, but since there is no need to double it, I won't do it. Now we have yet another iron. This one is stuck because it is feeding into the red signs. So the red and green signs, they are sharing a copper, an iron and a copper. Oh, look, I'm going. Awesome. That's pretty cool. So it managed to actually complete the whole thing. And then it goes in, and then we should see a flurry of activity here. All the robots, 1,500 robots. Boom, all of them getting active. That's fine that all of them are active at the time when we are emptying the train. There we go. The rest will not really do much. And there's something about the intersections here which I know I need to look at later on. Basically, I've put everything on I'm just jumping out, on chain signals, which means in order for the train to even depart the station, it must have a clear line all the way through. And as it has a clear line all the way through, it cuts off all of the intersecting lines. Right now we have a lot of intersecting lines, but one of the key reasons why I have so many intersecting lines, these horizontal lines are for PAX trains or for fueling trains, so that's not relevant. They'll run so slowly and they will be able to stop at these locations. It is the big trains and how often they there are some cases like this copper here. No, where is it? I guess it's the inbound copper. No. Right, there is something. This one, for example, this plastic is getting the oil. It is going a massive way, and therefore also crossing a few paths all the way up here into a location where we have oil. We don't exactly know how much we have, but we're trying to get as much as possible. So that one. And what else is there to show? Let me get out of here. The idea is that then I have, if I look at this one, the iron, the copper, the plastic, the steel, those four inbound items become green and red, and mining drills and engines as intermediate products, which will then become blue signs. Likewise, iron and copper can go into red and green signs, and now I'm in the process of making blue circuits, which will eventually become, maybe down here, will become yellow signs, because that's the worst one to create. So I'll start with that one. Also, as soon as I have blue circuits automated, then I can shove it up to the starter base and get a pretty massive advantage in terms of productivity up there. And that will sort of speed up everything else in moving forward. A lot of the time is, I didn't want to do anything off camera, but it turns out I do things off camera, because moving this down, landfilling all this area, it does take a bit of time. What I have done is I have created a sacred path city, which will, and look at that, I'm building these on the path. I'm doing this because that will enable them to simply create them themselves. I have 1000 construction bots here, and that means I could place another one here, for example. It won't build all of it because it reaches into the dark area, but it allows me to pretty simply take the car, go down here. You know what? Let's actually do that. Where did I leave the car? I always drop the car. It's right over here. Let's just do that so I can show that part while moving forward, and then I'll take a look at how I manage the biters, because that's also a key part of how this base works. What? Okay, look at that awesome driver. Most awesome driver. Yes. Beautiful belts. And the reason why there are some shenanigans here is exactly because there is a separate Roboport network that I have to respect. So much of the things down here are idle. It is not surprising. I will take it here. Now let's see if I can find that big blueprint. I have too many junk blueprints. When am I ever going to... Oh, that's the one. And I need to make sure that I don't... No, I don't build it here. I should have to build it on this one, this tile. Here. So align it towards... Can't see a damn thing. Like this. Why did it not just build? Ah, okay, there are some trees in the way. The one thing I need is that one. But aside from this, all of this will be crafted by itself. So let me go up here and watch as robots are now coming in. It is totally inefficient. I'm keenly aware of this, that they go straight path here, and then they will divert, come out of hyperspace when... and then they'll start building. And this is the part. I don't care. I don't care how inefficient it is, how slow it is, because it's free. You know, I can actually just put one more down and then just leave it as it is. That's the beauty of it. So I'll just put one more here. See if I can hit it. Oh, there's some alignment issue. Damn it. I don't know why I'm actually having that. One thing I need is that one. Why is it not powered? There. Good. So now I can move away from this and it will take care of itself. The rest will... Okay, great driving. Awesome. Let's move up. Let's actually take this train. Oh my god, I'm such a bad driver. Let's get this train in here. Sacred Path City, then I'll hitch a ride back to the base. Is it coming? Yep, here it is. It's a big base by now. There you go. Here it is. Jumping in. It will try unloading. How long? Or 10 seconds of inactivity. That means this one, it's unloading all of the nice, sweet landfill, which is our key point here. And then let's go back. All right, so while we are slowly going back, I will explain the defensive. First, in the starter base, I built this square block around it, which actually worked really well, protected us very well, and then put artillery in the corners, which could reach out pretty far. Of course, I now have, I don't know how many artillery shell range upgrades. This is number 7. I might not get this, but maybe I will at some point. So, jumping out. So that one ensured that we were safe to begin with, and then I started expanding down. But before I could expand down, I needed to make sure, let's kill those, that I would do it. So I built this setup here. You can see they are not the same Roboport network. So I built a bridge between it, where I'm basically saying, all right, you shove all the things I need for building a continuous defense. And then I built 2 blueprints that are not these blueprints, but these blueprints here. One is called radar, which is the first. Let's actually go a bit out here. And yeah, that's the first one we built like this. We built 1, 2, 3 of those, and then I built the other one, which is called artillery. Boom. And I've had a million questions asking me, why not just make one big one? And the reason is, let's go to the very end here. I cannot place it out here. So I need to have a blueprint that fits within the area that I can see before the radar. And there we go, right? So I can place this, but I couldn't place one that was twice as long because then it would reach out here and then it doesn't get placed. So that's why I built this, come back, build the next, come back, build the next. And at this point I've gone pretty far out, but now it's actually the issue that these have to be pushing a lot further out because I'm getting into this this proximity. And then once in a while I take these, you can see if this has been cleared, and then I can go out and just smash some things if I feel so inclined. It actually functions really well because then I don't have to get to each of these positions, and they're pretty far away by now. So I can simply just do, this is a radar, I can just do this one and it'll build itself. It'll take a bit of time, yes, but it'll build itself. Once this radar is placed, it discovers the next area. I can place the next and the next and the next. And that means, and because I have these out here, by the time I get to this position maybe, I can start smashing this area and clear out. So that means this is an automated way for me to clear out more area. Absolutely fantastic. And now, actually the finale, the one thing that is the hardest constraint in this base and what I'm most proud of because it's new for me. Boom, look at this. Everything except the starter base is aligned towards a network of substations. So everything is completely aligned. No exceptions anywhere, under any circumstances. My only concern here is this is the transition to the old base where I didn't do it, but I am gradually, you can see here, sneaking it in from the sides and then gradually just taking over with the grid network. And of course some of the things like this will not be easy to do, like this one as well. But the idea here is everything is grid aligned, which means some of these things here look a bit strange, and you could build it slightly more effective if you had that opportunity of not making it grid aligned. But I'm so happy with this grid alignment. It makes a big difference in terms of how crisp it is. I could very well make this into my a common thing. It fits very well with my square blocks, and also having just lots of substations. Even these branches out here, these are the ones transporting, for example, this one we just built. Some of it has been built, but most of it, you can see here, it just comes in. This is where we started. Now it's built a bit further out. As this comes up, then it builds the next. Oh, this is awesome. Boom. It discovers the next. Oh, what perfect timing. And that means I can place one more down. Boom. And then they'll start building this. And once I've built 3 of these, then I'll build a new artillery out here, which will start blasting these. And all of it is completely automated. So that, and let's just put this overlay as well. Pollution wise, yeah, it's a big red blob. It always is. I am trying to manage that it does not reach any of the biters. This is the part where it's most worrying, because up here, it actually is hitting the biters. So I will actually be attacked now from this side. That's actually very interesting. I did not notice that. Why is that actually? Oh, it's because I just added this massive location for mining, and I guess that's creating a bit of pollution there. Tap these for my future copper needs. Okay, so that explains the base, that explains the concept, that explains the choices I've made. I think the train network, the block network is extremely robust. And basically, if you really want it, you can always just skip. One thing that I'm also being asked, why am I not expanding upwards? My starting location is here somewhere, which means that the further I get from this location, the bigger the mines get. So if I expand equally in all directions, then I may get 1,000 tiles in each direction. It is more advantageous to me to go 2,000 down instead of going 1,000 in each direction, because 2,000 down gives us some nicer locations, 146, 75, while up here these are small ones. Only up here we start getting some decent sizes. And then it's stupid stone that we can't use for anything. But I really need to, right now I'm working on these small ones, 8.2, but of course if I want the base to be big and awesome, then I can't rely on these small ones. I have to rely on some big ones. 37 might even be small, but those 90 and 63, those are fine. We can rely on those. That's 100 here. It's actually 115. Interesting. Why I typed it wrong. 15. There we go. So that's where I need to get out. So I need to be able to make branches out here and make artillery locations like this, which is just ready to shoot at anything that moves. And you can see, if I make the overlay, this one can also just start shooting out here. Let's aggro something just for the hell of it. And what about up here, this location? This one's now been built as well, and then we can continue to build out here. And then after that, after this one, we would build the artillery, which would then start shooting, because now you can see how close we are, and it would start pretty much a big fight. Anyway, I will be continuing this base. There's a lot of work to be done. Also, I'm relying mostly on nuclear power. And this is as UPS efficient as I can. It produces 1,150 megawatts, something like that. It's 1,140 maybe. But it's quite a lot of nuclear power. The power here, I'm using 4 gigawatts. And soon I need to increase that as well. But I have these, and I can just stamp them down. Boom, 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 boom. The problem I have is, how do I get the water in? But that's something I'm gonna have to figure out somehow. But there are lots of interesting challenges, such as more nuclear power. How do I get water in a more efficient way? Because these are not efficient. How do I keep feeding this starter base? How do I get into new things like sulfuric acid? How do I keep building up the base? Interesting how it's because that one's not been built yet. Just keep building the base bigger and better. This is continuously what I am doing, and now I'm working towards blue circuits. That's going to be in the next, I don't know, 5 episodes or so. I definitely will run at least 200 episodes for this series, and I'm pretty sure there'll be continuous new design challenges. I really appreciate all the feedback I get, all the support of the channel, because without the support on the channel, this series wouldn't really be as awesome as it is, because it forces me to build new and exciting things. I feel the train network is unique. I feel the grid alignment is maybe not unique, but it's out of the ordinary. The way that I'm doing the base defense is also pretty unique. So there are some really cool things, in my opinion, on this base that makes it worth following. And I'm sure there are lots of new and exciting things I haven't even discovered yet that we're going to discover together. So I thank you all for your support so far. I hope that you will keep up and not let it deter you that you are running in a episode 105, 10, 15, 30. Just, you don't have to follow all of it. Just jump in wherever you are. Of course, I say that. Also, otherwise, come back to this one, which will explain the concepts. And if you're now watching episode 133 and thinking, what the hell's going on? I'll direct you to this one. Anyway, I will be seeing you tomorrow for a regular episode. Thank you very much for joining, and I'll be seeing you there. Cheers.